Alright everybody, welcome back to another video. So just thought I'd do a little update video on my 1995 Ranger that has the 5-liter drivetrain swap out of an Explorer. So my last video I showed how I bought it back after it being gone for around 8 years, and I've got a lot of projects done on it, and there's a lot of things that have been updated a little bit. I think it's running in pretty good shape now, so I thought I'd bring you along a little tour on what's changed. Alright, so if we're starting at the front of the truck, just a few cosmetic things. You can see I added this little valence panel right here at the bottom of the bumper. So I reverted back to the OEM front bumper, which I just prefer, and then added, like a factory STX fog light valence, which would have been on this truck. I don't have fog lights in it. You can see that the frame horns are right in the way. But I did add this rough country off-road light. It's just activated when you turn on the high beams, just for a little bit more light. I replaced the headlights, went back to a factory. These are not actual Ford, but they're depot brand lights, but they are OE quality. Same thing for the side markers, those are new. And I went ahead and put a new front grille on the front. The old one had a split in it, so everything kind of has the textured black coating on it. So the front end has been updated nicely. You also notice the hood, there was a dent and the hood paint was all peeled. Not the greatest paint job ever, but I sanded down the hood, fixed the dent right here, and just put a coat of paint and coat of clear on it. Could have used more clear, but I didn't want to put too much money into it. So it looks a lot better than it did, and it's good enough. Kind of wrapped it into the fenders here. You can see the line if you look close. Not too worried about it. Just kind of spruced up the front of the truck a little bit. Moving on. Have new wheels and tires. So it had 15x8 steel black wheels on it, which are pretty standard. These are American Racing 15x8 aluminum wheels. So exactly the same thing basically, but in aluminum. Wanted to lighten up the rotating mass on the wheel. It's already a lot with the tires. So these are brand new wheels. These are General Grabber ATX tires. They're also brand new. It had these Linglong type, Chinese tires on it that they basically rode like tractor tires. They were mud trains. They were aggressive. I mean, they did work good for their intended purpose, but they rode horrible. The truck just rode really bad, and it already had driveline vibration just due to the drivetrain and lift and everything. So when you combine that with those tires, it's just horrible. So this really smoothed it out. The General Grabber ATX tires, they're kind of like KO2s. They're, they have a really good OE ride, but they also have a lot of grip when you need it. And they're also really great in the snow, which is the main purpose of this truck. I wanted something, to get around the back roads when it's snowy out. So just kind of touched up the bed liner. I did spray and fluid film black on the frame. It's kind of hard to see, but just to, try to slow down rust that was going on. The bed's getting kind of thin in certain areas from rust, so I wanted to, short of just replacing the whole bed, I want to get that done. I did replace the fuel filler neck. It was leaking where it went into the tank. Got that replaced. So now it won't leak fuel when I get gas. Threw a new gas door on it. Just little details. Moving around to the back here. One thing I really had to change was the tailgate handle was broken. So I put a new tailgate handle on it. So that's working good. Did put a new exhaust. So, and I talked about last video, the exhaust fell off the truck basically at some point where it had rusted off. So I just put on a new muffler instead of keeping the duals, which is kind of unnecessary. I just stepped it up to a 3-inch single exhaust pipe, This is just an exhaust pipe that's designed for a F-150, and it's mandrel bent, and it was pretty cheap. And then put on a Flowmaster Super 44 muffler, so it's single or dual in. So I have my dual pipes coming into it here from the catalytic converters, and it's to a single output. I'll let you hear that here in a second. It sounds pretty good. Sounds really similar, honestly, to how it did sound, but I just wanted to keep that, you know, that aggressive sound without making it sound horrible. So nothing really different on this side of the truck, except did replace the window regulator in the door, got that taken care of, and again, moving around here, nothing really different. So there were some big things mechanically that we did. Let me touch on that in 1 second. First, I'll go inside the truck. So inside the truck, I removed the seat covers that were on there. They didn't look very good. And these are just the stock, well, not stock, but the leather seats that were out of the Explorer that are in here. The bottoms are the worst. So they sell these little covers on Amazon, and they're just like pleather, but they match pretty good. They hide the worst of it. There's a little spot on the seat over there, color-wise, that could be a little bit nicer. I did redo the keyless entry system. I just got the same new old stock Ford add-on system, because the other one was just going a little haywire. It was leaving the dome light on even after you started the truck for about 30 seconds until it timed out. And I took it apart. The circuit board had some corrosion on it, and it's mounted behind the rear seat, if you don't know. So that works good now. I also added in here this aftermarket, it's a Kenwood, I'll put it on, Kenwood system. Kind of got a neat little custom boot screen on it. Nothing really exciting about it. It's an older Kenwood navigation system, but it does have built-in Garmin navigation. I wanted something a little more period correct, so there is no Android Auto or Apple CarPlay on it, but I found it on eBay for a decent price and got it installed. It looks good. It matches the truck. The installation's real simple. And with the sound system, also added a Pioneer subwoofer behind the seat. So it sounds pretty good in here. Got new Kenwood speakers in the door, and the back speakers had already been previously replaced. So it does sound pretty good when when you go down the road. So besides some floor mats, I did add this stock Ranger cup holder right here. I already had this cup holder in the center console. Now we got plenty of cup holders and storage in this truck for sure. All right, so besides that, everything else is mechanical. So let's get into that real quick. All right, so under the hood, nothing really looks different, but there's been a lot of work done on this truck. So in the first video, I talked about there was one thing keeping the truck from running like completely perfect, as Ford would have done it, as I said, and that was the fact that there was a fuel pressure sensor in the tank on the Explorer that did not exist on the Ranger. And with the custom tuning that I have from SET in the truck here, they were able to eliminate certain things to a point, but they could not eliminate the need for that sensor. So I was able to splice into the PCM harness here, and I've got a cord that runs over, and then this is a stock 1997 Explorer fuel tank pressure sensor right here. It is plugged in, and it is just zip tied right here. It's not in the fuel tank. It doesn't do anything, but it did turn off the check engine light, and now there are no more check engine lights because the computer's happy because it sees that sensor at atmospheric pressure, and the tuning was able to eliminate all the checks, so everything runs perfect now. I mean, it ran perfect before, but I should say there's no check engine lights. I needed to replace a couple of tensioner pulleys, had a squeak. I had to put a new belt on it while I was at it. I put on did the recall myself for this brake switch, which I should have done got done a long time ago. And it would have been free if I would have took it to Ford, but I didn't feel like messing with that, so I just took care of it myself. Put this part on here. I also replaced the fan control module, which is all right here now. So this fan control module, the one before, I basically had a system of relays of, you know, high amp relays that would kick on with a temperature sensor in the coolant line at a certain degrees and then turn off at a certain degrees, and there was no adjustability to it. With this one, this is a pulse width modulated system. It kicks the fan on way less. Basically before, once the fan came on, it was just on. And it was annoying, you could always hear it when the truck was running. Now, this one, it's more like a factory system. It only kicks on when it needs to. It only runs the fan at 60%, which makes it a lot quieter. I've got this aftermarket Spall fan, which it really moves air, but it's kind of loud doing it. And then it also has AC overrides, so when the clutch is energized for the AC, it kicks the fan on. And then what's neat also about it is this fan control module, as the truck heats up, if it starts to get past the point where it needs more, it will apply more power to the fan up to 100%, like if it's summertime and it's really hot out. So far that's been working great. Everything under the hood's good. But let's go down below where I decided it was time to just look at the fluids and the transfer case and the rear end, the front end, and I changed all the fluids, but I noticed it was really low here in the front, and when I filled it back up with fluid, it started pouring out of the axle seal on this side. And that's when I realized that the axle seal was bad and it wasn't leaking because the fluid was so low, it was way below the line. So had to completely, had a friend rebuild, take apart the whole front end. These are those Ranger IFS front ends. Took it all completely apart and put all new seals in it. Checked everything out. Everything looked great. Put new fluid in it. Got it all back together. Also, while working on the front suspension, did all new tie rods and tie rod ends, even though they're already rusting up. They're brand new. I've got the adjustable links. So brand new tie rod, pitman arm, all that stuff is all new across the front. The wheel bearings were repacked, retightened, retorqued. They were loose. They're about to fall off on this side. Just complete lack of maintenance. Put all new brakes, with the exception of the rotors. The rotors are fine. Got new pads and calipers on the front of the truck, and on the rear of the truck have new pads and calipers. And also, you can see new brake hoses. The brake lines themselves are okay, but needed new hoses on the front. Had a problem where if you hit the brakes hard, it would want to pull to the side because one of the brake hoses was collapsed, so just figured to replace both of them. So as you can see, a lot of work's gone into the truck, both mechanically and visually, but I wanted to get it done and get it back to where it's a great, reliable truck to have on the road. So far, it's been running great. Feels better than ever. I'll go ahead and start it up, see how it sounds now. Also, something I forgot to mention, when it was doing the exhaust, it had a right side exhaust leak at the header. The gasket was blown out and there was a broken stud. So, had the exhaust manifold gasket replaced on that side, and then on the driver's side, the exhaust manifold was actually cracked in half, even though it was like new 8 years ago. So that is completely brand new with the new gasket as well, as you can see through here. So since I was doing that, I said might as well put new plugs and wires on while we're at it to get the correct wires for these GT40P factory cast iron manifolds. So it's had a tune up at the same time, new plugs, wires. So as you can see, it runs great, purrs like a kitten. I keep forgetting things. I did also replace the steering wheel, not because the other one was worn out and thin. This is just a used junkyard Explorer steering wheel, but the cruise buttons were pretty messed up, so I wanted to get them working right. So new cruise control buttons, used new steering wheel for the truck. So I like how that exhaust turned out. Got a nice rumble at idle, not too loud. When you get on it, you can definitely tell it's got a V8 in it. Alright, so I think that pretty much covers it. I just wanted to make a little follow-up video on the stuff that I've done to the truck. I really like how it turned out. It's running good. Hopefully I can keep it on the road for many more years to come. I learned my lesson selling it, so won't be doing that again. So if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them below. I like hearing from you. Be sure to like the video and subscribe, and until next time, we'll see you later.